Nazarene University. We want now to delve into matters education, where lecturers in public universities are this morning expected to hold demos in Nairobi as they present a petition to the Ministry of Education as well as the Treasury to push for the ongoing pay row. Members of the University Academic Staff Union and their counterparts from the Kenya University's Staff Union will converge at the University of Nairobi Graduation Square before beginning the march. Learning activities in public universities have been paralyzed following the strike, which has now lasted almost 2 months. Let's bring in our reporter, Caroline B. She's joining us live from the University of Nairobi. The graduation square there is where the lecturers are expected to meet. Caroline, good morning. What is the situation on the ground?
Good morning to you, Michelle. Well, the lecturers have started arriving here for what they call a strike and also a petition which they will be delivering to the Ministry of Education and also the National Treasury. When they come here, they say that they were going to assemble here at 9:45. Some of them are still streaming in. They just arrived right now in a lorry, almost 30 of them, but we are still waiting for their officials. Hopefully, we're going to make an address before they proceed to the Ministry of Education at Jago House. And what they say they are going to present to the Ministry of Education or to CS Amina Mohammed for that matter is actually to fasten the discussions or the talks over their CBA. If you can remember, on March 18th, they had met with Amina Mohammed, and she said that she's going to actually ensure that their talks into their CBA are met and that everything is going to be sorted. But till date, they say that nothing, they haven't had from the ministry, and therefore they are going to march to that ministry and also to the National Treasury, where we can say funding for their CBA actually happens. So they will be pressurizing for funding for their CBA, that is the 2017-2021 CBA, and they have been having strikes since last year, and the government and also the Interpublic Union Consultative Forum has had 5 chances for them to counter whatever the lecturers actually tabled. But for the 5 opportunities and the 5 promises that they did make, none of them has actually been met. And this is going to be maybe the 6th time that they are going to have that forwarded to the consultative forum and also to the ministry. And they are hoping that, their demands are going to be met. Housing allowances and also a pay rise for that matter. Last year, they had quite a number of strikes which paralyzed learning in public institutions across the country. And this year, again, they started on Fast March their strike, which has affected over 600,000 students in over 20 public universities in the country. Some students are actually saying they were supposed to do their final examinations last year. Some were supposed to graduate, but 1 year later, they are still left in the cold. They don't know the way forward. This strike is ongoing. Last year, March, July, there was a strike which they called off in December. Then they actually called on for another strike this year. It is the 2nd month right now where the strike is ongoing. And if I could take you back to last year, the longest strike actually lasted for 54 days. So we do not know for how long this current one is going to stand. Then there was also the court order. Since they issued the strike this year, there was a court order that they should go back to work as soon as possible since their strike was illegal. But the lecturers actually reached out to their legal team saying that, until their CBA is met is when they are going to go back to work. So currently that matter is still in court, but they said that they are going to have stay orders to appeal what the court had ruled. So that matter is still before court. A judgment or a decision is yet to be made. And I talked to one of the officials earlier on, and he said that he's not going to comment on that. But what they are actually pushing for today is that they are going to deliver that petition and that memorandum to the Ministry of Education and also to the National Treasury, hoping that their CBA is going to be fastened as soon as possible. Michelle?
All right, many thanks. That is Caroline B. live for us from the University of Nairobi. Let's now get more insights from Dr. Charles Mukwaya, joining us live from our city centre studios. He is the Secretary General of the Kenya University Staff Union, KUSU. Good morning, and many thanks for joining us on News Centre, Dr. Mukwaya. Let's begin with matters pertaining this petition. We saw 3 lecturers' strikes last year, the longest one lasting 54 days. We're 2 months already into this this latest strike. What is the finality of this petition? Dr. Mukwaya, if you can hear me, good morning. Talk to us about this petition.
Yes, in the universities, lecturers and the rest of the staff have had very many strikes almost yearly. And in some cases, we have even had more than 3 strikes within 1 year. And this is simply because it has become a tradition in the universities that the CBAs concerning the salaries and the housing allowance of the staff are never negotiated within the stipulated life cycle of that particular CBA. You'll always get that the CBA is negotiated long after that particular cycle has ended. For example, when we went on strike last year, we were actually pushing for the negotiation, conclusion, and implementation of the 2013-2017 CBA, right at the end of that particular life. That's when we were being put on the table to negotiate. And therefore, even to negotiate, we had to push them to accept to come on the table that lately. Currently, the crisis in our universities that has been there for more than a month now is on the CBA 2017-2021. Again, you can see when this CBA ought to have started its life as early as 1st of July 2017, we are yet to negotiate it. And yet, the financial year 2018-2019 budgetary estimates, preparations are already done. We have not been captured anywhere in the national government's budget, particularly the Ministry of Education. And this is why we said that we need this time around to get on the table to negotiate early enough so that whatever we agree is captured within that particular budget. Whereas that was the position, even our own vice chancellors through the IPUCCF agreed with the same. We have not managed to achieve that particular target. That's why staff have said, no, it cannot be business as usual from 2004, negotiating late when we are not budgeted for, we end up being given anything that the government feels it can give us. That's the reason why the staff are on strike, and they are going to be on strike according to their own volition until this CBA has been negotiated, concluded, signed, registered, and implemented with the money in their bank accounts. That is what is making these members be on strike at the moment.
So what credence, Dr. Mukwaya, will you be submitting this petition, considering that the Employment and Labour Relations Court has declared this strike unconstitutional?
Pardon me?
The Employment and Labour Relations Court has declared the strike illegal. Under what credence will you be submitting this petition? All right, we seem to be having trouble communicating with Dr. Charles Mukwaya.